Welcome to From a Particular Point of View. I'm Dale. This is a podcast where difficult comments are looked at economic times from a perspective of faith. Politics. Why? Entertainment. Times from a particular point of view.
Hello everyone, once again, and welcome to From a Particular Point of View. I am Dale, and if you want to contact me, respond, questions, comments, whatever, get a hold of me at watercoolercomments@hotmail.com or watercoolercomments@gmail.com. And if you could, please, to go ahead and, if you're on Rumble, go ahead and hit the plus button. Give me a like on Twitter, or not Twitter, but, well, yeah, anyway, on YouTube. You get the idea. Give me some love here, if you will. Once again, this is From a Particular Point of View. I am Dale, and I only thought about doing this particular this here show, this episode, just a day or two ago. And when I heard this, it just blew my mind. It's grotesque and sickening and disgusting, and it's progressive, it's liberal, so you get the idea. Anyway, and for once, I really don't have a huge list of really important news articles for today. I get a few of them on here, but not really as much as usual. Not that it was a slow news day, because, well, it was to a degree, I guess, because there wasn't really a whole bunch of small items. They're just many big items, I guess, or not. There's a few big items, but not really a lot of little. Anyway, so as per normal, let's head on and see what's happening at least in the country. Usually, that's what I try to focus on in this podcast, is more or less things happen in America, and I mean, the rest of the world is important, but that's if it affects us directly, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, what I've heard about, they're in the makings. I guess there's an initiative in California. I don't recall the actual name of the bill that's being brought up in the state of California. I even forget what legislature or what politician, put it that way. But I heard this first on Dan Bongino on his radio program or his podcast, whatever, and then I heard it on CBS News, and I was really surprised to hear it on CBS News, because this is one thing that I thought they'd like to keep it quiet, because could be controversial. And what this is perhaps you've already heard about it before, is there's a bill in California to give every black resident $5 million with an M, $5 million each one, and totally clean out their debt. I mean, totally erase all debt. But I guess the catch is these black people have to prove that they are direct descendants from the slaves of back during our slave days. And I'm thinking, 5 mil, that's a lot of stinking money. And I'm thinking, California can afford that? I mean, I know that's where that's where, the tech giants live in California, Silicon Valley. And it's where the movie stars live, and that's where the movie industry lives, and blah, 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 blah. But I was thinking, can they afford, I don't know how many black people are in California. And I don't know how many black people that can prove their heritage comes from the slave days of, but there's got to be a lot. And so not only was it there, I guess the bill was to, again, give them each one who could prove they're worthy $5 million and to totally clear all debt. I was like, wow. And my thought was, okay, give them $5 million. Not that I want to, because I think it's a ridiculous idea, putting it nicely, of course. But $5 million is one thing, but how can you clear all debt? Considering a lot of that debt is from private companies, credit cards, maybe car payment, house payment, whatever. And the government can't really tell a company, MasterCard, Visa, your Chevy, your Ford, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, whoever. The government just can't go in there and tell private financial institutions to cancel all debt to this particular person, or they just can't do that. However, they did cancel student debts, which I didn't think they could do that either. But I guess if you have a pen and a phone, like Obama, then you can do anything. So, anyway, GarageGate, I think is what they're calling it. With former Vice President Biden and his documents and his paperwork. One thing that's blowing my mind is, now we've known for like the last year or two that is always, I think Peter Dorsey, or is it Peter Dorsey from Fox News, who always seems to give a hard time to Pierre John Carrier, with the spokesperson for the White House. I keep on forgetting how to properly pronounce her wannabe French name. Well, the French is named, but I don't think she is. Anyway, what's blowing my mind with that one is we were all used to Fox News coming up with the questions, about controversial things for the White House and the former vice president. However, I've been hearing more and more the alphabet media, the liberal news media, asking more and more questions about, hey, is it done? Did they find them all? How many places were there? What's in the paperwork? All these questions. And what's blowing my mind is she keeps on saying, well, I have to refer you to the White House counsel. The White House counsel. Everything was White House counsel. And you've all been, you all have the number. You all have access to get the. So go ask. Passing the buck. I guess at one particular time, a question was asked. She finally said, heck with it. I'm fed up, and just leaves the stage. Just leaves the podium, and boom, that's it. They're gone. So, yeah, for some reason, she... and I bet she's really hitting her job right now. I bet the fact that she's a black lesbian, I'm thinking she wishes she wasn't right now. Because, for some reason, Biden hired her because she's a black lesbian. Well, because she's a black woman, and I guess the fact that she's a lesbian, allegedly, because I don't know for sure, she may or may not be. What she does behind her own bedroom door is really none of my business, nor is it yours. But she looks at her little booklet, her folder booklet, and picks out, I guess, the comment that best answers the phrase and repeats that. And it's like, wow, that, if a Trump spokesman did that, you get the idea. Anyway, but I'm really surprised, though, to hear, I guess, NBC, CBS, I think even CNN, I guess CNN had a part on there about, okay, well, what did he know? When did he know it? How long has these documents been here? And again, and Ukraine keeps on popping up. if he has them in his garage, and I guess the garage, or the house that the garage was in, as I understand it, it was probably owned by Biden, but Hunter Biden lived there for a while, and of course he paid, oh, what, $59,000 a month or something like that, some ridiculous amount of money, for rent or something. And it's like, for one thing, who pays rent to their? Who arranges, any kind of rent? I can see regular old rent, whatever that is for the market down over there. But anyway, so yeah, the Ukraine, and everyone knows that Hunter was involved with that barista, whatever, that Ukrainian energy company over there. It just stinks to all high heaven, and it's everything that the news media can do, or I should say the White House can do, to keep things looking better or something, to help them to make it look not so nasty. When your own liberal media is coming after you, asking questions, I think they're in oh crap stance right now. They're just like, what do we do? What do we do? And they can't give anybody good answers. So it's hysterically funny. Well, actually, when she has a press conference and she answers every question the same way, it's not her. It's not their fault that they want to know the truth about these documents. But every time one is asked, a question is asked about the document, she always says, "Well, I refer you to White House counsel." And I'm sure the White House counsel will say something like, "Well, it's an ongoing investigation, so we can't answer you right now." Anyway, something else I thought was really interesting was George Santos, I think his name is. He got elected to the House from, was it Arizona or something? And apparently he just lied his butt off to get elected. He did the typical political thing. He just lied about everything. Everything was a lie to him. Nothing was factual, but he got elected. And so he's, I guess, either people knew about this and voted for him anyway. After all, you got people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer who are moronic idiots, and yet the people who vote for him, so go figure. Anyway, so apparently he is just a lying, heaping bag of excrement, and he got voted in, and he refuses to resign, which, okay, if he was my representative, I don't know. Of course, if somebody campaigns on a lie, I guess that depends on how he does his job. If he represents you properly in Congress, then I don't know. The interesting thing is that both Mark Levin, the radio talk show, conservative guy, I think he's got a national show, and Dan Bongino, again, radio show and a podcaster, they both brought together a montage, because they're saying, if you think George Santos says a lot of lies, and they actually put together a montage of Biden's lies during the campaign. And the funny thing is a lot of these I'd heard before, a lot of them. Some of them I didn't hear before. But he was doing the typical political rhetoric of trying to identify with your audience. So if you're in a room full of truck drivers, yeah, I remember when I was driving truck. If you're in a room full of lawyers, I graduated from this law school, cum laude, and I had my own law practice. And of course, if you're in a room full of coal miners, yeah, my daddy was a coal miner. He tries his best to associate himself with whatever group he's with. Remember Corn Pop was a bad dude? Remember that? Oh, man. Because apparently he allegedly was the only white kid in a black pool or something. He was a lifeguard. From what they mentioned in this montage of things that he said, he has had a very eclectic and exciting, well, maybe not exciting, but a very eclectic life. He has done everything. Either him or his family has done everything, and he's been everything. And he's everything from top of his class to, I think he mentioned one time he had an academic scholarship to some college to be a lawyer or something. And I'm thinking, I guess again, he's like every group he spoke to, he was trying to pander to that group by trying to show a connection, which it's not really a bad thing if you actually have the connection, if you can prove it, yeah, I mean, if you actually have the connection, either you or your family, I mean, it's, if I decided to run for some kind of candidate for some kind of political office, I could go into a group of veterans and say, hey, I'm with you. I'm a veteran. I was in Fort Benning and I was in the Army and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but you can't really go in front of a bunch of people and tell lies and expect, well, put this way, anybody who shows up to a Biden speech in the first place, you're an idiot. You're gullible. You deserve to be lied to. And the thing is, I guess, because Biden was such the darling child of the Democrat Party, he can probably say anything he wanted to. He can mention, oh, look at the purple Martians coming down from Tree Lawn 3. Yeah, they're my friends. I was up in Martian. I went to Mars when I was 13 on a scholarship from. You get the idea. And they'd go, oh yeah. And they're dumb enough to not really believe it, but they're dumb enough to go along with it because in today's thing, if you go against Democrats, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe. You get the idea. You're a hater, and and people just you get the idea. Oh man, so. Yeah, I heard that montage of all the garbage that Biden allegedly had done and said that he had done. And yeah, the first thing I thought of was, okay, Biden's done all these things, allegedly what he said, but yet George Santos is a bad guy. He's a liar. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. That's what I was thinking is like, they're trying to convince George Santos to resign from his position of representative with all these lies, but Biden has proven lies on tape that he says he's never done, but yet nobody wants him to resign. Well, I want him to resign, and I know there's millions of people out there who do want him to resign, but unfortunately, the problem with getting him to resign is, who's next in line? Kamala Harris. I think that's the safety net. That's why I think a lot of people want him to resign, but yet, no, resign, but no, don't resign, because, of course, if he resigns, Kamala Harris is president, and, oh my, can you imagine what that'd be? Oh, anyway. So, this next story here kind of surprised me, because I think I heard about it a day or so ago. I heard about it again on the radio news coming home from work. And they're mentioning, did you know that there is maybe I'm just not listening to the news enough or whatever, but I guess there was an investigation for the last, 8 or 9 months on who leaked the information out from, I can't remember of the case it was that they were actually disputing on the Supreme Court. It has to do with Roe versus Wade. The case that actually made Roe versus Wade, yes, it did fall, but it did not outlaw abortion. Despite what any liberal progressive tells you, Roe v. Wade, the fall of Roe v. Wade does not make it illegal. What it does, as I've said before in other podcasts, it sends it back to the states where it belongs. Anything that is not in the Constitution, not in the Bill of Rights, is a states' rights issue. And everything else that is not there, if it's a states' rights issue, it goes back to the states. Now, I did hear today that the states are almost in a dead heat, a tie there, because I guess like 22-ish, 23-ish states have made it either greatly limiting abortion or outlawed abortion. Good for them. And there's 22-ish states. Yeah, there's a few in between, but you get the idea. There's 22-ish states that have either that have either opened up limitations for abortions or have actually made abortion legal right until birth, which is disgusting. And unfortunately, Oregon's one of those states. Again, who would be grotesque enough to kill their own child? Anyway, so I guess there was you know that there was a marshal of the Supreme Court? I didn't know this until today. And this marshal of the Supreme Court, I think it was a female, doesn't really matter, but I guess spoke in detail to every single Supreme Court person and asked them all questions about, hey, did you know about this leak? How, I mean, do you know anybody that could have known? I guess they spoke to their spouses, their families, their friends, trying to figure out who in the world leaked this thing, because it was leaked months in advance. And I guess after 8 or 9 months of investigation, they found nothing. That's right, not a thing. They don't know any more about who leaked the information about the fall of Roe v. Wade than they did the day it happened, which is like, that's like trying to go after Trump. They'll spend months and months and months investigating Trump and then come up with squat. So that is all the news I have for this week. Anyway, I know there's more news out there. Just that it didn't quite hit my list for something that was worthy, but I do know there's other news out there, and maybe I forgot some because, again, I don't listen to news all day long. But the stuff that I hear that is significant to me, I do my best to remember it or write it down on my phone or whatever the case may be. Okay, this here is just something that's disgusting to me, just grotesque in every sense of the word. And the people who pander to this way of thinking, I believe, should be put in prison. This is child abuse to an extreme measure. My personal opinion, of course. But this is about an article called "In Portland." Now, get this: the article was written July 27th, 2022, so it's a year old. Not quite a year old, but still. And it's written by Christopher F. Rufo, I guess. R-U-F-O. So, yeah, anyway. It's titled, "In Portland." It is, I believe it's Portland, Oregon. I'm guessing. I don't know much about Portland, Maine. So, and I know that Portland, Oregon is a cesspool, putting it very nicely, of progressive filth. Again, putting it very nicely. Anyway, it says, in Portland, the sexual revolution starts in kindergarten. That's right, the sexual revolution starts in kindergarten. Can you, I'm expecting to hear, in my mind, I'm hearing a full audience going, ew, or something to that likeness, which I know, and it says, I know that the city's public schools teach K through 5 students to subvert the sexuality of white colonizers, and that's in, finger quotes for the audios out there, but it's actually written white colonizers, and begin the exploring of infinite gender spectrum. Now, I know somebody that teaches kindergarten. These little kids, they're having enough trouble with COVID, missing 2 years, with their parents being busy. They're having a hard enough time trying to figure out what letter makes the sound of "buh," and they're having a hard enough time trying to figure out what color the grass is. And so for them to go through this is just ludicrous to a grotesque extreme. Anyway, Portland Public Schools has launched a war against gender binary, and it has, because gender is binary. You have male and female. That's it. That's who we are as human beings, and that there are no more, no less. That's anyway. And adopted a radical new curriculum. My bad. Gotta get it out. Anyway, teaching students to subvert their sexuality of white colonizers, because I guess white people, CRT, that's what that does, is telling everybody that white people are the devil. White people are normally naturally racist, so, of course. Oh, boy. Anyway, and begin exploring the infinite gender spectrum. Now, this is written again by this Christopher F. Rufo, I guess, and he says, I have obtained a cache of documents from a source inside the Portland Public Schools that exposes the nature of this curriculum. The lessons seek to turn principles of academic queer theory into an into an identify formation program for elementary school students. I mean, for one thing, teachers have no business teaching sex ed in school. Now, I did when I was in school. I think it was 5th, 6th grade. They taught the very basics. There wasn't no teaching of, okay, you might feel like a girl. Because you feel like a girl, then you're a girl. Or you might feel like a boy. So if you feel like a boy, then you're... No, none of that. They give you the very basics of the technical way of how it happens, of procreation. They, and of course a lot of kids knew this. Some kids may not have. And of course most of the kids, and of course a lot of the boys made crude jokes, but kids will be kids. Anyway, the premise is simple. Privileged white heterosexuals, my bad, privileged white heterosexuals have created an oppressive gender system in order to dominate racial and sexual minorities. Yeah. Let's get some more room here. Where was I? Oh, yes. As the curriculum explains, gender is colonized, and Western societies have used large language to erase alternative sexualities. When white European people colonized different places, they brought their own ideas and gender and sexuality. Okay, so that means that the Indians were gender homosexual and stuff. I get Indians, sorry, my bad, natives. And I don't do that. I don't call them natives to be PC. I call them natives because that's what they were. Indians is a mistaken label put on by, I guess, by Christopher Columbus, because he wasn't coming over this way. He was coming over to find India. And so, of course, when he got over here, he thought he found India. So we mistakenly called Native Americans. We accidentally call them Indians, even though they're natives. But anyway, that's the only little piece of possibly you might call, progressive stuff you'll get from me. Anyway, where was I at? When white European people colonized different places, they brought their own ideas of gender and sexuality. And the curriculum reads, when the United States was colonized by white settlers, their views about gender were forced upon people already living here. Okay. Yeah. Their views and gender, okay, I'm on here. Hundreds of years later, how we think and talk about gender is still impacted by this shift. I don't understand what the shift is, but okay. When reached for comment, public schools wrote, we make certain, okay, so I guess this person here, this Christopher, now I've done no research into this Christopher F. or Rufo. I don't know who this person is. I never heard of him before. But it is, what he wrote has definitely got my attention, as you might have guessed. Anyway, when reached for comment, Portland Public Schools wrote, we make certain that our curriculum is LGBTQ plus inclusive for students who identify as transgender, non-gender conforming, gender queer, and queer, to create a safe and inclusive environment for all students. Again, when you're a certain age as a child, sex and gender, it's not even on your radar. Boys know they're boys, girls know they're girls, and that's just how it is. That's something for like in college, maybe last couple years of high school, or when you're trying to find out who you are, that's where that comes in, sorta. But to little kids, that's just, anyway, you get the idea. The curriculum begins in kindergarten. What, 5, 6 years old? That's abuse. That's child abuse. With an autonomy lesson featuring graphic designs of children's genitalia. And I've seen pictures of this. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me, I copied and pasted this off the letter that I got on the email that I got, and it actually shows very descriptive drawings of genitalia of both sexes, and it's, I mean, they don't like little. I mean, I think it's illegal to let little children watch pornography, but yet, to me, this was really close to it. Anyway, the curriculum begins with, the autonomy lesson featuring graphic drawings of children's genitalia. The lesson avoids the term boy and girl. Of course it does. In favor of the gender-neutral variants, persons with a penis and persons with a vulva. So pretty much, you don't say boy or male, you say persons with a penis. And you don't say girl or female, you say persons with a vulva. Any gender kid can have any body type. A related representation reads. So a boy can have a vulva and a girl can have a penis. So I'm just in a moment of loss there. I'm like, what? First and second grade students are introduced to the key tenets of the gender identity theory. Gender is something. Now, this is somebody wrote this, or somebody said this, because it's in parentheses. Isn't somebody actually said this? Gender is something adults came up with to sort people out into groups. The curriculum states, the curriculum is saying this. Many people think that there are two genders, boys and girls, but it is not true. There are actually many ways to be a boy, a girl, or both or neither. Gender identity is about how you feel inside about yourself inside. Next, students work through a lesson called Our Names, Genders, and Pronouns. The lesson tells them that gender is like outer space because there are so many ways to be different genders as there are stars in the sky. God said that to Abraham about his descendants will be as many as stars in the sky. This is almost heresy, I think. I mean, God should just send a bolt lightning down and you get the idea. Oh, man. So, let's see. Students and curriculum, the curriculum explains, can change their name to match who they are, like their gender, culture, or just what they like better. They can be boys, girls, cisgender, transgender, non-binary, and experiment with pronouns such as them, they, them, z, zir, according to their personal preferences. Only you know what your gender is, they are told. And the z-zir, z is actually ze/zir. And to tell you the truth, I have no clue what the z-zir is. Of course, I've heard of cisgender, transgender, and non-binary. So I guess, now, if I'm not mistaken, cisgender is you can change gender anytime you want. So you can wake up one day and go, I am this gender, the next day I'm that gender. I think transgender is going from one gender to the other, if you wish, and non-binary is you don't have you just don't, I guess it's you don't claim either gender. So, anyway, in the third grade, the district begins lessons on it even gets bigger than this. So it's LGBTQAI2S+. Holy cow! Let me say that again, just to make sure you guys got it clearly. LGBTQIAS2+. It's 2S+, my bad, sorry. The curriculum represents categories of man or woman as manifestations of the dominant culture. Of course they do. And that has sexual norms to oppress minorities. The culture systems and assumptions that everyone's straight is calling heteronormative. Yeah, I think that's what it is. systems and assumptions that everyone is cisgender is called cisnormative. Okay, the curriculum exclaims, therefore, the culture systems and assumptions that everyone is straight is called, oh brother, cisnormality. Wow, that's a mouthful. Yeah, cisnormality or something like that. The system, according to the lesson plan, is a form of oppression. Of course it is. Designed to benefit, of course, white, straight, cis boys, and to punish the LGBTQIA2S plus people. Oh my gosh. Of course it is. Yeah, of course. The solution, according to the public schools, is to obliterate the white colonizer. Now, I think I know what that means, but what do you think it means? Obliterate the white colonizer. Now, to me, obliterate just means destroy, do away with. I mean, there's more than one ways to not be in a principal location. I mean, you could just I don't know, like with me, how do you obliterate somebody? I mean, yeah, you destroy them, but anyway, let's see where obliterate the white colonizer conception of sexuality, which is rigid male-female binary, and encourage students to inhabit the infinite gender spectrum. Of course they do. This means destroying the system of sisternormality, and promote queer and trans identities. Teachers are told to eliminate the terms girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, mom, dad. So they want the kids to do this at home too? Wow. Anyway, so that means a little girl can go up to her dad and go, "Excuse me, adult person with a penis, can I have a drink of water?" I think that's how they do it. Anyway, promoting queer, transgender. Okay, teachers are told to eliminate the terms boy, girl, ladies and gentlemen, mom, dad, Mr. and Mrs., Mr., Miss, Mr. and Mrs., boyfriend, girlfriend, in favor of terms. Oh, here we go. This ought to be good. Such as people. Okay, and Folix, Folx. I really have no clue what that is. Guardians, MX. So, and Folix starts with an F that is not capitalized. And they also have MX, but M in MX is capitalized, so I guess that is significant. And them friend. Students are shown photographs of gender non-conforming individuals and encouraged to celebrate flags. Of course they do. Of non-binary, genderqueer, gender fluid, two-spirit identities. Oh, that's interesting. For some students, the subversion and gender binary might also involve gender transition. The curriculum provides a detailed explanation of how to pause puberty. I'm reading this. I was emailed this letter, this article. Actually, I was emailed it, and I just copied and pasted so I wouldn't have to, So it's on my Word program, so I can actually make it bigger because my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, they want to pause puberty through hormone and/or surgeries, and advice on adopting a non-binary identity and a set of pronouns. So they want little boys and little girls to stop puberty by hormones or surgeries. Isn't that just wrong? Oh my gosh, can you? Wow. Anyway, by the end of 5th grade, the curriculum explicitly asked students to make a commitment to change. They want commitment. According to the delectates, it's according to the dictates, my bad, of gender ideology, students receive a list of 6 commitments, including I commit to learning more about LGBTQI. You get the idea. Words and word means and how they have changed over time. I commit to learning about the history and leadership of Black trans women. Again, everything goes to Black trans women. That's women's got to be in there somewhere. Black got to be in there somewhere. Anyway, I commit to practicing pronouns and correcting myself every time. Every is in caps. I commit to attending QSA and GCA. They're acronyms, but not sure what it means. And being a leader in my school. I commit to watching and reading books, movies, and TV shows that have LGBTQA plus characters. In other words, they commit to becoming political activists for queer theory and a broader sexual revolution. For little kids. Finally, this type of pedagogy or pegology is astonishing and is astonishingly becoming a commonplace in public schools and systems across the United States. I have heard that before. I've heard that many times. I think that's kind of where also the drag queen book reading time, the libraries and schools help out, because they're preparing kids for this garbage. Anyway, this type of pedagogy is astonishingly becoming commonplace in public schools across the United States. But will there be an endpoint? Queer theory is fundamentally weak in academic theory. As it becomes practiced in public schools, it will begin to damage students, yes it will, leading them through a series of broken promises, including some more disastrous hormone treatments, surgical procedures, and eventually, as parents understand the ideology it hopes to accomplish, it will revolt against the day-to-day, and it cannot end soon enough. So apparently this was originally published by the City Journal. I can only imagine that City Journal is probably a more leftist, more progressive publication out of Portland, Oregon, I'm guessing. So apparently now when I first heard this article was read, anyway, you get the idea. Somebody read it to me while I was driving, so a lot of my attention was on the road, and it was dark when I was driving, so a lot of my attention was on the road and not necessarily on the thing, because when I first heard this, I thought it was in favor of all this. And so I'm guessing whoever, this Christopher F. Rufo was actually not in favor of it, but he went in great detail, which is a good thing about what they plan to do. And I've heard this before. Usually when it comes to this part of the country, now I'm from Alaska originally, and it usually takes things forever to get up there, whether it's the mail, UPS, lifestyles changes, things, fads, you get the idea. The same thing, it's not too much different from living in the West Coast, especially in the Northwest, because it just takes things, because I guess things happen in New York and it slowly makes its way across the country. And, and I've been hearing about school boards and politicians who actually want this to happen, And the interesting thing is, recently, there's been parents showing up at school board meetings demanding this stops. And the crazy thing about this is Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, under former Vice President Biden, he's actually called those parents domestic terrorists. So yeah. Anyway, oh my gosh. So get ready, because I know this would be happening in Portland. Now, I'm thinking that more or less, when it comes to this kind of thing, prepare for it in big cities. Now, the place where, because my girlfriend, she works in a school. She gave me this article that is in a rural area that is more or less conservative, Republican. And so I don't think this will actually, unless people are told by their Department of Education, state, governor, whatever, unless they're told you will teach this or else, which could happen. It could very well happen. But so either it's coming either morphing into the schools, or it'll become by you'll do this or else. So just prepare for it. So oh man, yeah. So the only thing I can think of is with this. If you have a sense that this is actually going to happen in your school, your kid's school, your grandkid's school, get a hold of the school board, get a hold of the governor, your governor, get a hold of somebody who has power in the schools, because this is just grotesque. I mean, this is all garbage. I mean, kids, especially little kids, they have a hard enough time learning the ABCs. They have a hard enough time learning the 1, 2, 3s. They got a hard enough timing because they're also teaching shapes, octagons, pentagons, triangles, square. They have a hard enough time learning the basics, let alone, telling them, actually, you're actually not a boy, little Johnny. Actually, you're actually a little girl. Yes, you are. And little Susie, you're really not a little girl. Actually, you're a little boy. Yes, you are. And you want to have the surgery that's going to destroy your, well, you get the idea. Anyway, so that, I mean, I'm kind of speechless on this because I have so many things I want to say, but I don't really know how to say it without sounding like a babbling idiot. I do enough of that already. So, oh, brother. So until next time, everybody just watch out for this. It's coming. Depending on your area, depending on your state, depending on your county, depending on your school board, it could come sooner than you want to. So unless you like this kind of thing, maybe you're all in favor of it. Maybe you want your little 5-year-old Johnny and 5-year-old Susie. Maybe you want them to go and get hormone surgery to change their gender. Maybe you want them to think of themselves as non-binary. Maybe you want them to be referred to as them, they, or something, or whatever. If that's what you want, well, you can do it yourself, but don't do that to the kids. I mean, wait till they're 18 and then anyway, this has been from a particular point of view, and my point of view on this. It's grotesque to extreme. Anybody who actually does this should be put in jail at the least. Should be put in prison at the least, because this just isn't right. It's inhumane. It's disgusting, and I'm waiting for God to send the lightning down to whatever school system puts this into practice. So until next time, my friends. This is Dale. This has been from a particular point of view. For response, questions, comments, whatever, please contact me at watercoolercomments@gmail.com or watercoolercomments@hotmail.com. So until next time, everyone, have a great day. God bless, and take care out there. Have a good day. See ya.